of our trips is to the Boyd Hill Nature Center in St. Petersburg, Florida. Boyd Hill revolves around Lake Maggiore, which is a estuary leaning more towards the freshwater, but an estuary connected to Tampa Bay via Salt Creek. It's a 55-acre preserve full of trails, and it is representative of a number of Florida habitats. So it's a great place that we visit. It consists of an aviary, a butterfly garden, a nature center. Unfortunately, the butterfly garden and nature center were closed when I visited this last time. But when you visit, hopefully in the future, it will be open again. And then there's a main trail with habitats branching off of the main trail. So the first little visit that we have here is from the aviary. They have birds that would not be able to survive in the wild for one reason or another. They have a big raptor fest every year, which is one of their biggest events. They do have a bald eagle and several different types of owls. They have the two most common hawks that I see around here. The red-shouldered hawk, which is the smaller red-breasted hawk there, and the red-tailed hawk, which is a larger species of hawk that also lives in this area. Some of the common plants, and we'll go through a bunch of plants. We'll start off with our pines, the slash pine, and we've looked at the slash pine before. You can see the range of the slash pine. We've looked at the slash pine in our other habitats. It's a fast-growing, opportunistic pine, probably the most common that I run across in my studies. The common maples that we see are the red maple, the sugar maple. The red maple is also called the swamp maple, which means it likes the moist soil better than the sugar maple or the silver maple. The oaks of Florida, we have the live oak, the laurel oak, which we see a lot of, the turkey oak, which is we'll have pictures of here, that lives in the really dry soils, the well-drained sandy soils, full sun, and it's very small. And then we have a water oak, which is a wetland oak. The bald cypresses, as you can see, are the buttressed because they handle water quite well and unstable soil, so they're kind of thick on the bottom and they get narrower. They are a coniferous tree, and they lose their needles. They also have structures called knees that provide support, aerate soil. It's not exactly known to what degree either, but they obviously the soil is unstable. They're a large tree, so these knees further anchor, and also the soil is anoxic, and so it helps with the flow of oxygen through the root system. The epiphytes that we see the poison ivy everywhere. So, remain on the trails. Virginia creeper, love vine, we've seen that in all of our places as well. That grows up on other plants. The Spanish moss air plants, they are the bromeliads. They are the same family as the pineapples. So those are epiphytes, grow on other plants. The air potato is an invasive species as well that inhabits our pinelands, hammocks, wetlands, chokes off trees. Air potato, another invasive species. The Australian pine is an invasive, and it's not really a pine tree. It reproduces much like a deciduous tree, not a true pine, but it kind of superficially resembles a pine. It does not grow deep roots, so during windstorms, it has the tendency to fall down, and it doesn't hold soil as well. So, it used to be planted all along the beaches because Its roots spread out and are good at holding the sand in place, but they're bad for wind abatement. The Brazilian pepper is an invasive that we know and hate. We've talked about the leaf structure and identification is that. Skunk vine is the stinkweed skunk vine, fast growing, smothers. It's found in the landscape as well, and when you pull it out, it smells really, really gross. That's an invasive epiphyte that damages its habitat. Kudzu, you'll see that as well as another killer or overtakes and overgrows things. It's an epiphyte and it smothers the plants that it grows on. Some of the aquatic plants, as you look at Mulgorey, the most common right now is the water lettuce that overgrows our in the summer when we get eutrophication. It tends to overgrow our shores. The fragrant water lily, we all know water lilies. Fragrant water lilies have that pretty white flower, pretty ripe flower, the fragrant water lily. You'll see pennyworts and floating hearts. The floating hearts, they sell at aquarium stores. It looks like those little bananas. The top is a heart-shaped leaf that it floats on the top. Floating hearts, pennyworts. Spatterdock is often mistaken for lilies, but it has a yellow flower, different leaf structure, yellow flower. Mosquito ferns and hydrilla, eelgrass out in the lake. You get a little just off the shores after you clear the cattails and clear the water lilies. They're water lilies and clear the lettuce. You get the eelgrass communities. Eelgrass communities related to the seagrass, fully submergent plant. And then coontail. That's another aquarium type plant. Cattails and pickerel weed. Pickerel weed have the pretty flowers on them. They emerge from the water, so they're not submergent, they're emergent. They come out of the water. The arrowheads have that cool little white flower, and the torpedo grass are emergent marsh plants as well, coming out of the water. So when you're at the water's edge, you can photograph and write down as many as you can. So you're going to look at Lake Mulgorey. Lake Mulgorey, important brackish water. It's food resource, water for migrating birds, beautiful view. So Lake Mulgorey is the main sinkhole habitat. The willow marsh, there's a lot of willows. Willow marsh, we didn't get to the willow marsh today, so when you watch our videos, we don't, because a gator kind of blocked it. He settled right in the middle of our path and wouldn't let us go by, so we let him win, and we missed the willow marsh. But as you're going, the willow marsh is a nice little hike, and so walk through the willow marsh. We'll have some pictures from the willow marsh as well, though. The cypress swamp, cypress woodlands, is another habitat that this has a nice boardwalk as well. The pine flatwoods is a drier habitat. It's not hydric. Hydric is more mesic, meaning it's middle. Sometimes it gets wet, and then as you get higher ground, you get the xeric land, which is sand, and that's the dune relics, which the pines not as abundant, but they grow as well. That's the sand scrub and the sand scrub trail. Those are old dune relics. They used to span Florida, but with the change, only about 2% of the original sand scrub is present. So it's an endangered habitat. A hammock, forested habitat. It's called a hammock. That's the Live Oak Trail, and they have a wax myrtle trail, so it goes through hammocks, which is forest. Now on the main trail, some of the things that you'll see: beautyberry. We see a lot of that. Wild coffee. I have a little video showing you some of the. There's the ripe beans. Again, not high altitude, acidic soil mountain coffee. So, you know, it's not what we use, but it's the same group of plants. And you can see the beans there in season. The red maple, 3 lobes, some bracket fungus growing on the bark. Painted leaf, look for painted leaf, that's our poinsettia. And we got a little dainty sulfur butterfly there. Cypress swamp, that's the spooky forest that we go to. There's the cypress knees. There's a cypress on the left with a buttressed trunk, wider at the bottom. So that is a hydric. During the rainy season, it's covered in water, and it's got soft, mushy sediment year-round, so it's a wetland. So the Swamp Woodlands has this beautiful boardwalk. There's an anhinga on it. You can see the water lettuce growing in the stagnant water on the left. That anhinga, they have that pointy beak. The cormorant has a beak that's hooked down with a notch in it. Cormorants are more of a salt water, where anhingas are more freshwater, but they can be found crossing habitats. There's one of our friends, the snowy egret, black beak. Look at his feet, yellow feet, snowy egret. So the snowy egret has the yellow feet and black beak. They were endangered because they had pretty feathers, and they would be captured and their feathers would be plucked for female hats. They were popular in hat making, haberdashery. But I don't think females wear those kind of hats anymore, and they're rather abundant. There's a limpkin and some cool bugs, the Florida leaf-footed bug. There's a monarch. We saw that one today flying around the swamp woodlands. Oh, and there is an alligator that inhabits the swamp woodlands. You can see them in all the bodies of water there, but this one wasn't very big. I've run into far larger in our travels in Boyd Hill. The willow marsh, which we didn't quite get to today because of that big gator. You can see on the left, you got your water lilies, your fragrant lilies, and on the right, you see the water lettuce. Water lettuce is in eutrophic shallow water. Great blue is right in there hunting away. You have more water lettuce on the left. That's what it looks like, the water lettuce. And on the right, you have some moorhen. Again, on the island, cattails are abundant on the shore. You can see the cattails. That is emergent cattails. In the sand scrub, that is the turkey oak. The turkey oak right there. Smaller tree, adapted for very dry, sandy soil, turkey oak. And also, we have a lot of the gopher tortoise, and there's an active gopher tortoise apron right there. Up in the dead, you see a lot of dead trees, and the woodpeckers love the dead trees because they eat the insects that are in the dead trees. So that's the sand scrub habitat.